All right, so if you remember yesterday, we're talking about the Torah being given in the desert. And that the Torah has what we call 10 commandments. And these 10 commandments, the purpose of them is to enliven what's called the 10 utterances that God made when he created the world. And it says there's a Mishnah in the tractate, The Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, that says that God could have created the world with one utterance, but he created it with 10 utterances in order to give reward to the righteous and punishment to the evil. So the Rebbe said, doesn't make any sense. I mean, if the world is really could be created with one utterance, so that's what it's worth, one utterance. What's the punishment and the reward? Because God decided to make it with 10. So what's it mean? So God said, so the Rebbe says, well, the fact of the matter is like this. God really did create the world with one utterance, and with 10 utterances. Not only that he did create the world, he is creating the world. The one utterance that God creates the world with is the fact that the world exists, that there's existence. This is an equal, this is also called Sovev Kol Omim, the aspect of God that surrounds all the worlds. This aspect of existence exists equally by the angels, the highest of angels, to the lowest of rocks or whatever, right? Sins, commandments, evil, good, it exists. That is existence. The fact that things exist, right? It's from this level that all the evil people, there's a lot of my more discussions about this, about Haman, how Haman wanted to destroy all the Jews. Haman got this tremendous power. Where did he get it from? He got it from this level. Existence. There's no undifferentiated existence, right? From this level that I exist, you can do whatever you want, anything that you want to. In a way, it's God's infinite, undifferentiated kindness, the power of God being a creator. So there's two aspects of God being a creator. First of all, one word, one utterance, namely that there is existence, something that seems to be separate from God. And then there's 10 utterances, namely all of the articulation and the diversity in the world, which is everything in the world. Everything is different from everything else. There's no two things that are exactly the same, if for no other reason that everything is in a different place than everything else is. Right? If everything is exactly the same place and the same this, then there's no two things. And everything is different. Every snowflake is supposed to be different. I don't know if anybody ever checked all the snowflakes, but it's supposed to be all the snowflakes are different. And everybody's fingerprints are different. And everything is different. Every tree is different. Every this is different. Every time is different. So this is the aspect of God, which is the 10 utterances. So that's the whole purpose of the creation, that the 10 commandments that he gave, which is the oneness of God, but it also came to be 10. And also it says in the Kabbalah books that God has 10 spheres of his personality, even though we know that God is one. So the idea is to put the godliness of the 10 commandments and the 10 spherot into these 10 utterances of God. Hine, Inyan said this, the pulos of the Torah, that's what the Torah does in the world by means of one utterances and 10 utterances. In other words, one utterance means to show the oneness of God in everything. And the 10 utterances, this means to show the oneness of God in all these different, nuances and manifestations of godliness, that everything in the world is godly, right? And everything is different. Mudras, this is also in the preparation for Matan Torah that we do with Sfirat HaOmer and Pesach Vatzeret. Now, the Jewish people have this commandment which is called counting the Omer. It's one of the 613 commandments. We learned about it last week, if you remember, in Parshat Emor. By the way, come to the 3 o'clock class in Chumash. Matan Torah it comes after the. Okay, so first of all, counting the Omer. God took us out of Egypt. 50 days later, he gave us the Torah. That's what it says in the Bible. And in between, there's this commandment. Every single day, counting the day. Matan Torah came after the preparation of, first of all, going out of Egypt. What happened when the Jews left Egypt? That the King of Kings, God, revealed himself on the Jews in his glory and his essence. God took the Jews out of Egypt and he redeemed the Jews, took the Jews out of Egypt. In order why did God take the Jews out of Egypt? So God told Moses at the burning bush. Where was the burning bush, by the way? The burning bush was on Mount Sinai. That's where the burning bush was, Seah Bo'er. It was on Mount Sinai. And God said to Moses, you are going to serve me on this mountain. That's why I'm taking you out of Egypt. I'm taking you out of Egypt because I want you to serve me, to be my servants on this mountain. You're going to serve me on this mountain. What does it mean, serve me? You're going to get all the instructions, and you're going to get also the attitude you're supposed to have in order to be a servant of God, to give God what he needs. What does a servant do? He provides what you need. What does God need? God needs our hearts. He wants our actions, our speech. That God gave the Torah for. God gave the Torah for this person. Serving. Kavan, since the whole reason why God gave the Torah is in order. What does serving God mean? Joining godliness, the upper worlds, with the lower worlds. El Yonim, Yordu Taktonim. It says that in Mount Sinai, that God, he's the upper. He came down into the world, and the world rose up to God. God elevated everybody by telling him what they want, what he wants. Chibur Amiti, this is a true joining. It's not that God stopped being spiritual. God stopped being God. No, then it wouldn't be true. It means that God remained totally above the spiritual, totally above the creation. And as he was totally above the creation, he came into creation. Brought the whole thing down here. A tachton olon, tachton in the lower world, it remained the lower world. But what? Right? It's not that the upper worlds God stopped being, he sort of made a concession. He stopped being so godly, and the physical world, he made it a little bit sort of more, how do you say, transparent. No. Elisha Elyon Kamoshu, the world as it, that God, as he was, higher than the spiritual worlds, the highest of high, he came down with the lowest of world, like it was the lowest of low in this world. How do you see that? First of all, the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God that took you out of Egypt. That's the essence of God. After that, what does it say after that? The sixth commandment, seventh commandment, what does it say after that? Don't kill, don't steal. In other words, God is speaking to potential murderers and kidnappers. Stealing means kidnapping. And murderers and kidnappers and rapists and right. God is speaking to all these low life people. And God Himself is coming to that's like we said before. And remember last week we said we have to put the aleph into the gola. That we don't change the world doesn't change, and God doesn't change. We just unite them. We just show the truth. The fact is, the world is being created by God for a purpose, and that we just reveal that purpose in the world. That's the whole idea of the giving of the Torah. But how do we take the highest of the high, which is the essence of God, which was revealed in Egypt, and bring it down into the world and unite them together in Mount Sinai? This is by means of Sefirat Omer. The 49 days of what's called counting from the Omer offering. Omer was a bundle of barley that was offered up in the Holy Temple the day after Passover. And the commandment was to count every day, the day that you offered up the Omer and all the other days afterwards. Talking the whole idea of counting the Omer, 7 complete weeks that you have to count until you get the 50th day. What does it mean to us nowadays? Like we said before, in the Maimon we just learned in the Kuti Torah, that learning the Torah has to be with love, it has to be with emotion, it has to be exciting, it has to be dynamic, it has to be intimate. Says that's all the commandments are like that. but especially the commandment of counting the Omer. This begins the service of drawing down godliness of the essence of God, which is above any sort of division in the world, namely the one utterance, Maimer Echad, that it should shine, Sfirat Omer, in all the details of the creation, what's called 7 weeks, 7 times 7, in the person. That's the thing of the 10 utterances. So the one utterance, that is pure godliness creating the world, creation, existence. And the 10 utterances is how this existence is diversified. So it's the same thing. When God took the Jews out of Egypt, that was pure existence. To take this and put it into all the details, that's the whole idea of counting the Omer, bringing godliness into all the aspects of our personality. Ajed tispuru, chamishim tispuru means also to reveal. Sapir means to reveal, shine. And should be in Yom HaChamishim to the 50th day. Ideally, that's what's supposed to be. When you do Sfirat Omer, you're supposed to be thinking about these different aspects of God. And like I say, there's if you want to, you can look it up. There's a man called Simon Jacobson, and he wrote a whole very, very, I think he's working on it constantly and improves it, but a very interesting and practical workbook of what to think about in these days of Sfirat Omer, each day according to its unique nature. Sha'al, Sharanun, until finally you get to what's called the 50th gate, which that's above all the other 49 gates. This is a Kabbalistic term, that the 49th gate is higher, I'm sorry, the 50th gate is called the 50th gate of understanding. That's when the Torah was given. This is above the world. This is the 50th gate itself. Not just the lowest level of the 50th gate of understanding, but what? Also the highest level, which is totally above anything to do with the world, becomes revealed in the physical world on Mount Sinai. So that's we have the Maimer Echad, that's the one utterance of God, becomes revealed after the 49 days on the physical mountain. That's the 10 utterances of God. And this is the whole purpose of the Torah, to unite godliness with the world. And what are we saying? God is infinitely, infinitely more simple and one than we can possibly imagine. And on the other hand, God is infinitely, infinitely more intricate and complicated than we can possibly imagine. And that's the job of the Jews, is to reveal oneness of God in both aspects, that the oneness of God should be revealed in all of the details. Says the Rebbe, that's accomplished by going out of Egypt, counting the Omer, 49 days, and receiving the Torah. Yesh lo, if we can add on, that in this year, we begin Sfirat Omer on Motzei Shabbat. This year, I think we did it, not Motzei Shabbat, did we? No, we did it, counting the Omer was, we did it on Sunday night. Okay. All right. So this year not as relevant. Hadgashi Yasir, Sfirat Omer and Rosh Chodesh Sivan. Rosh Chodesh Sivan is going to be what? Next week. What do we say? Tuesday, right? Did we say Tuesday? Excuse me. Yes, Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Tuesday night. Next week, Tuesday night, is the first day of the month of Sivan. B'Chodesh HaShlishi, the third month. This is the day when the Jews came into to the desert of Sinai. Now we're going back to the topic we started. In the 7th week, on the 3rd day, this is as though you've already gone into what's called the 7th week. So this is already really getting into the whole idea of receiving the Torah. The 3rd day of the week, of the 7th week, this is after you've already finished. How many days we count? 49. So when you're in this last week, so we only have 5 days left to go. So it says we have left to go 44 days of Sfirat Omer. That's when Rosh Chodesh Sivan is going to be. This year, Shebe'em Nichlalim Ikar Avoda, this is the main service of counting the Omer and purifying the emotions. That's what it always is. Rosh Chodesh Sivan, the first day of Sivan, is always the 44th day of counting the Omer. And these 44 days, it's 44 days. This is an aspect of Yanika. The child is still nursing from its mother's milk. Right? When the Jews were taken out of Egypt, it was like a baby that came out of the womb, the birth of the Jewish nation. So this 44 days, it's still a time of nursing. Al Derech Mashal says that the milk makes the limbs of the child grow. The same thing is, in these days, we are nourishing the emotions of the godly soul. In the 44 days of the Sfirat Omer, we're putting it into what's called the natural soul. That's what it says, that milk comes from blood of the mother, right? The mother, if a mother doesn't eat, and then there's no milk. This is a preparation for the bread, like we said in the mimer in the morning, that is called the Torah is called God's bread. This is the giving of the Torah on the holiday of Shavuot. The Torah is compared to bread. So this is the time when the Jewish people are, for the days of counting the Omer is the nourishing of the Jewish people's Judaism. And since we've finished, it's like a little baby. He gets nourished until finally, from the milk of the mother, until finally the giving of the Torah. That's when the child can eat bread. You can't give a small child bread, a baby. He gets milk. So the 49 days of the counting of the Omer, that's like feeding the baby that came out of the mother's womb, namely the Jewish people, on Passover. And this counting the Omer is refining the details of our emotions. That's the main thing of your natural soul, is your emotions, by means of revealing light of God, thinking about God, which is meaningful and connected to that individual emotion. In other words, when God took the Jews out of Egypt, so they had an introduction to God in general. And now they have to make it in more detail. So the introduction to God in general, that's like the one utterance that God created the world with. And bringing it into the details, that's already the 10 utterances. Nasim, Muchanim, now when the Jewish people have fixed themselves up and they've been thinking about God and incorporating it in their various emotions, then they're prepared to receive this light of God, which is above any division, right? This is the Maimer Echad. This is to bring, again, this oneness of God, but now to bring it into all the details. And how do we do this? By preceding the Bittul Shebarosh Chodesh, by means of this total surrender, which is represented by the first day of the month, the first day of the month of Sivan. Why is the first day of the month total surrender? Because the first day of the month comes after there's no moon. This is the moon was the day before Rosh Chodesh. There was no moon. The Jewish people are compared to the moon. The moon wasn't there. And the first day of the month, that's the first sliver of the moon. That's the Nakuda, the point of the moon. As then, when a person completely surrenders himself, doesn't think about himself, then he can receive a total revelation of godliness on the 50th day. And as long as a person is thinking about himself, he can't receive anything, basically, but he can't receive the Torah for sure. Something was like this also on Lag Bom, we just finished, Hod Shebahod, that this was the end of the Sfirot Be'ikar Amidot Shenikar Gufo. We talked about this before, that the lowest of the 10 Sfirot is Malchut, and and each one of these 10 sfirot is also composed of 10. But in the counting of the Omer, we're mainly refining our animal soul, which that's mainly the emotions. So the emotions only have 7 aspects. It's called chesed, gevura, love, fear, etc. Only 7 aspects. And each one of these 7 has 7. So the lowest of the 7, in other words, with the 7th aspect of the 7th emotion, that's called Malchut. It's Malchut of Malchut. But but the body of your emotions, that goes up to Yesod. Yesod, that's the aspect of a person that he connects to people that are outside of him. Malchut is like speech, and Yesod is just connection. Not actually going out, but connecting to someone outside. That's the ability to connect with others. That's Yesod. Yesod. So that's already outside of the body. Hod, which is right before Yesod, Hod, that's already an internal aspect of your personality. That's called beauty or surrender or whatever. So the lowest aspect of the inside of your personality is the Hod of Hod. That's Lag BaOmer. I know this is a little bit complicated, but that's generally what it is. That's the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed away. And he revealed the greatest of his secrets. That's what's called also the giving of the Torah. The Torah was also given on that day, but the secrets of the Torah. Mechinas Hod Shebahod, and below, this is already going outside of the body. This is the main emotions, and it begins to be outside of the body. Therefore, this is the lowest aspect, Hod of a Hod. This is the lowest aspect of the inside of the body. Therefore, there can shine also a very high light, just like when you reach the last of the emotions, Malchut of Malchut, the lowest of the low, that aroused the Torah to be given, the external Torah, the revealed Torah. Well, the internal Torah, namely the secrets of the Torah by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that was revealed on Hod Shebahod, 33rd day of the Omer, which is above any division. So the secrets of the Torah, that's like this one utterance of God. And the revealed Torah, that's like the 10 commandments, the 10 utterances of God. Al-Yedei Akdam is a bittul by means of surrendering ourselves and total, how do you say, the harmony with God. That's Hoda. Hoda means surrender. That this is the thing of Hod Shebahod, surrender of surrender, that's revealed the inside of the Torah. Okay, so what have we gotten up to now? The whole idea of receiving the Torah is to make this world a dynamic, blessed, meaningful, a meaningful and productive place. It was all good potential is revealed. Joy, happiness, positivity, honesty, love, all the positive things that there are will be revealed in every human being. Because we're talking about the Creator. This is the Creator's world. It's not our world. That's the idea of Rosh Chodesh Sivan. But in order to do this, we have to sort of get rid of the shell, like we said before. That's the whole idea of the first day of Sivan. That's when the Jews went into Midbar, into the desert of Sinai, to the giving of the Torah, which they received on the mountain of Sinai. This we can connect to also the counting of the Omer on Rosh Chodesh itself. Rosh Chodesh itself is we finished the previous month on the 44th day of the Omer. Like we said before, Rosh Chodesh itself, the first day of the next month, this is the 45th day of the Omer. The 45th day is the gematria of the word ma. Ma. Ma is also the same gematria, same numerical value. 45 is the gematria of Adam, man. Right? Dalet is 4, Aleph is 1, and Mem is 4, 45. This is the Adam is the 45th day of counting the Omer. This is the day that the Jews went into the desert of Sinai. That was the first day of the month of Sivan. And 45, the 45th day, this is Adam, and Adam is Aleph with Dam. Aleph is godliness, and Dam means physicality. Like it's known that the Torah is also compared to blood. Why? Because what does blood do? It's true, it's physical, but blood is life. Mamshich chayas l'kol ivorim. Blood gives life to all of the limbs equally. It goes through the whole body. The same blood that goes through your brain or whatever it is, it's the same blood that enlivens your arm and your leg. Maybe a little bit different quality, I don't know, but same blood. That's why when is man called Adam? Zot Torat Adam. The yesh, that the Dam, this Torah, which is like blood, that it spreads out in all the limbs of the body, in other words, in the whole world. This hints at the 10 utterances that God created the world with. And the Torah is the blood that enlivens the whole world. His chalkus, and all the different laws and all the laws of the Torah and etc. That's the Dam, that's the Torah. And Adam is the Aleph. This is the drawing down from what we said, the one utterance of God. The Torah is the 10 commandments. That's like the blood that enlivens all the details of the world. And the Aleph of Adam, that's like the one utterance of God that just creates all being at once. This is the Torah as it is above any division of the world. So Adam is the Torah, and Adam is how the Torah comes from a source which is above all division. That's what King David said. Achat diber Elokim, shmayim zu sumati. It says, one thing God said. That's the one utterance. She'inyan zeh nasa by means of, first of all, prayer. Like we said in the Mimer in the morning. That comes by connecting yourself to God, thinking about what God is, thinking about how God is creating me, and that He's creating the whole world. This same God is the one who gave the Torah. This same God is the one that wants me to use the Torah in order to reveal His oneness in the world. That's the obligation of every Jewish person. But in order to do that, you have to come to the desert, Midbar, and you have to make yourself like ownerless. We'll talk about that in a moment. And also, interestingly enough, the word midbar, the same exact letters as a human being, midaber. All right, we'll talk about this. Let's now learn the Yom Yom for today. Yom Yom. Several of the earlier Hasidim had a forbringen in the time of the first Rebbe of Chabad. And the core of the one who wrote the Tanya said, the Rebbe did something unusual. What did the Rebbe do? That we're not alone. At one time it used to be, no, it's true, every Jew is always with God, and every human being is always with God. And God is always with everybody. But that's not, sometimes when you're not in a good mood and you feel lonely, and you're not in a mood to start thinking about God is with me, I'm always here, this. True, if you think about it, it is. But sometimes it's such a wonderful thing when you feel, you're alone, or you just failed at something, or you had some big disappointment, and someone comes up to you and says, you okay? Is everything all right? How are you feeling? Or especially if it's somebody that you know, hey, how are you? Wow, you look a little bit down. What's the problem? Are you doing okay? Wow, you're such a special person. You're such good, right? You feel, it gives you encouragement. You want to have encouragement. You want to have encouragement. God speaks to Abraham, and then when God spoke to Abraham and this, He usually just gave them jobs and things to do. So to feel empowered by God, you have to really think about it. But to have a person that's encouraging you, and that's really a very valuable thing. And it used to be that Jews were alone. What does it mean alone? That there was a big holy tzaddik, someone who really worked his whole life, and he knew the whole Torah, and he got close to God. And you tried to be like him, emulate him. At one time, the master of the Rosh Hashiva, the Talmudic sage, he was alone, and his pupils were alone. Every man on his own. The Hasidic way, which the Rebbe started, is a tremendous achievement, a godly achievement. The Rebbe is not alone. Every second, he's just thinking of his pupils and his. And the Hasidim are never alone also, because every moment they know that the Rebbe is with them. Have a good day with Moshiach now. See you all at 3 o'clock, God willing, learning Chumash. Shalom.